This is CityCast Seattle. I'm Jane C. Hu, and here's what Seattle's talking about. To thank all of our new neighbors for joining CityCast Seattle's membership program, here are a few of our listeners' favorite conversations from the last few months. How the Fremont Troll came to be, the best bookstores in town, and what it takes to keep beloved Seattle businesses from vanishing. We're so grateful for your support. Special thanks to Lori W., Priscilla V., Dylan W., Sean K., Nicole R., Igor M., Michael R., and Kevin H. for joining us last week. All of you are getting this beautiful print of Seattle neighborhoods from local artist Emily Weissman. And we've seen so many people join in the last few days that we decided to add one more day to allow people to join our Neighbors program and get that print. So today is truly the last day. You can join us for $10 a month or $100 a year. You just go to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. Again, that's membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. We can't wait to see you all at our first Neighbors Only event. Be on the lookout for more info about that soon. Steve Badanes, the architect who designed and built the legendary Fremont Troll, is now in his 80s and he recently retired. Through the Neighborhood Design Build Studio, an award-winning studio offered by the UW Department of Architecture, he helps students work with communities around Seattle, creating more than 50 projects for nonprofits, from outdoor classrooms to pathways in children's gardens. And Steve was willing to chat with us from his home on Whidbey Island so we can find out everything we've ever wanted to know about the Troll. Well, Steve, as a first-time guest on CityCast Seattle, I wanted to ask you our customary first-timer question, which is, what is your Seattle soapbox? Like, what do you always want to get on a soapbox about related to the Seattle area?
Well, the Troll was built 35 years ago, I believe, and in 1990. This was a different town then, and I think I have made my exit and left it to the younger folks to decide its future. The Troll was a statement to be kind of cautious with development. Obviously, he's making an anti-development statement. There was, at the time, Fremont was much funkier, much cheaper. Many artists and boat builders and woodworkers lived down by the waterfront, and the plan was that Adobe was going to clean all that stuff out and build a new headquarters, which, of course, they did. And the Troll, which was the result of a competition, was supposed to make that statement. Be careful what you wish for. It's inevitable that things change, and I think Seattle's still a pretty fabulous city. It's just a different kind of city. It's much more, it's been like Revenge of the Nerds. You got, used to be fishermen and woodworkers and lumberjacks and all this kind of stuff, and now it's computer, tech bros.
It's also, speaking of nerds, creative producer Sam J Leeds is here. Wow. Sorry to throw you under the bus like that, under the VW bug like that. Sam, have
Proud
you touched
nerd.
the Troll?
I have touched the Troll many times. Yeah. When people come to visit, they all want to go see the Troll. And yeah, I don't know. It's very cool to have Steve here today because the Troll is just iconic to Seattle.
I know. When I first moved to Seattle in 2014, I lived in Fremont, and I actually did not know about the Troll. I just happened to walk by it. And
Wow.
I was like, what is this amazing piece of art under the bridge? So it's a real pleasure to have you on the show, Steve. Okay, so you had mentioned that there was a contest and that is part of the Troll's story. So tell us a little bit about how the Troll came to be. Like, I really want you to set the stage for us. It's 1989 was when you all started plans for this?
I think the whole thing was done in 1990. I think the competition may have been in the spring of 1990 that we won. The Fremont Arts Council, which is a scrappy local arts organization at the time, and I guess still is, got a neighborhood matching funds grant from the Department of Neighborhoods, which had started in 1989. So it was one of the very first matching fund grants. A guy named Jim Deere started the Department of Neighborhoods and developed these grants where communities could decide what they wanted in their communities rather than reacting to what government gave them. And so the Arts Council proposed something under the bridge. They proposed a competition, worldwide competition, to decide who the artist was and what would be built. And it was the only one that I know of where public art was voted on by the public. And that was part of their grant. I think it made them nervous at Department of Neighborhoods. Certainly the mayor at the time was pretty nervous when he found out the Troll won. There was a jury of local artists and activists. They picked 3 winners, and the 3 winners got $500 each and got to go into the public vote. So that's how it was structured. And it was not an anonymous competition. And there was someone on the jury who had been at the UW Architecture School, and she knew my work and said, this will be well built, because I had this long career as a designer builder before I came to teach with the Jersey Devil.
She was like, Steve's got chops.
I think that's the only reason we made the cut. And we did not make the final 3. And they called and said,
oh,
you didn't make the final 3, but you can go ahead and enter the public competition if you want to do it without getting $500. And we said, okay, yeah, we can do this. And I drove over to the site and I took one look at it. Imagine 1989, 1990, what it looked like under most every bridge in Seattle, the normal kind of detritus, the mattresses, beer cans, crack pipes, that kind of stuff. You know, I took a look and I guess that old story of the troll under the bridge and the billy goat's gruff is sort of lodged into your brain from when you were a kid. And I just said, yeah, troll. But I had no idea what we would build. And I went back to school where I was teaching, and I recruited a couple of students, Will Martin and Ross Whitehead. And we sent my girlfriend at the time, Donna Walter, over to the library, UW library, to get us some images of trolls. That's how the one we had a one eye, and that's how he only has one eye. And then the idea somehow emerged as we were talking about it to kind of submerge the troll, which made for a lot easier amount of detail. All you're talking about is fingers and a nose. And the nose on the model, we copied right off mine.
I was going to ask you if that was true. I had seen rumors that that was the case.
That was the case. The lower lip is Ross's and the nose is mine.
Nice.
And so we made the model, they're architecture students, and made a fabulous model of the under the bridge and used drywall compound, and wherever we didn't know about troll anatomy, we just slugged on a little bit more hair. And it's actually a pretty great model. It's at Mohai now.
How long did it take to build?
The competition was during the summer, and we started, October, mostly digging and doing rebar and stuff like that too. And we finished it in December. It was pretty fast. It was a couple of months. Wasn't enough time to raise money.
Right. So how much was this grant for? And did that actually help pay for all the materials?
The grant, in theory, was $40,000, $20,000 from the city and $20,000 matching, which means that's not money.
I see.
That means that the whole idea of the neighborhoods matching funds grants are the city puts up money and the community matches it with in-kind donations, meaning labor, materials.
I see.
Lunches. And
your labor, specifically.
Well, we had to keep track of everything, and we had to work on weekends so that all volunteers from the Arts Council could work too. But there was, it's one of those things that kind of caught fire on the news. When things are bad at the end of a news cycle, you need some good news. And right from the beginning, the troll was pretty popular. So basically, we had $20,000. But there's very few materials in the troll. The original scheme that we had, it was going to be built out of wood, that's what we know how to build, and covered with bark. You know that guy who builds trolls around the Northwest, Thomas Danko? Yeah, he does them that way, and his are temporary. And so this one, the troll wouldn't have lasted this long if he was built out of wood. Somebody would have torched it.
The troll is turning 36 this year. And I know, he's made of concrete, so...
Yeah, he's hollow, though.
He's keeping up okay. He's hollow. Okay, interesting.
Well, I'd had some experience with ferro cement, which is the thin shell cement that they use to build boats. To get started, we got the woman who works at the Woodland Park Zoo and does the rocks there to come over and show us how to do it. And the car was donated by Black Duck Motors. It had been in a front end collision and it didn't have the motor had been sold. So they just gave it to us. Ross and Will went over and towed it over with a rope.
Amazing.
A lot of the stuff we did,
I was like, it looks too real to not be a real car.
It's a real Volkswagen.
So why does it have a California license plate, though?
It doesn't. We just said it should.
Oh.
It does have a time capsule inside of it, though. And Kurt Cobain's ashes are in there.
Wait, I can't tell if you're messing with me or not.
Kurt Cobain's ashes are not in there.
Okay. Breaking news, everyone. No, what is in there, though?
Sandy Smith's ashes are in the glove compartment. She died during the construction. She was a friend and was a supporter. And stuff that was donated by kids, drawings of the future of Seattle. There was a bust of Elvis Presley. It's beautiful plaster bust. But someone broke in there and stole that one. But then since then, the troll has kind of been filled up first with sand because no one was around. And Will, that's the only thing he knew what to do with it. But since then, I think there's concrete inside there. I mean, there's been so much vandalism on it. I think even the tires are stuffed with concrete now.
Well, so the troll has been around for 36 years this year. Is the city keeping up with repairs? I mean, who is in charge of doing that? And I guess I'm also curious what you think about the changes that the city has made to the area around the troll. Like, I know they put in stairs a couple of years ago. There's like a pea patch and park, you know.
It has to do with how we got permission to build it. Normally, public art goes through, used to be the Seattle Arts Commission and the King County Arts Commission. They both have other names now, for culture and the mayor's office on this and that, so-and-so. But this was done through Department of Neighborhoods, so there's nobody who would take care of it unless it was the Fremont Arts Council. And we didn't need a building permit, which of course now you probably would, and you probably put a railing on his head so people wouldn't fall off it. But
right, yeah.
Seattle Department of Transportation owns the land. And
I guess that makes sense being under the bridge, yeah.
And they're the guys who did all the recent repairs and supposed to take care of it, but not too much. But what they said was Fremont Arts Council will own the sculpture and do the maintenance. We'll own the land and do the maintenance on the land. The artists own the copyright. That's the only thing we own. So it's a pretty good deal for us that way.
So wait, tell me more about this copyright. Are you all making royalties off of it? Are you like,
oh man, I'm retired on Whidbey Island where you're talking to me now.
Is that from the troll?
That troll money.
Perhaps you're aware of the Fremont Troll Chia Pet?
Yes.
Yes.
We are.
Fremont Troll Chia Pet sold 22,000. And the artists, I believe, got 80 cents a piece, something like that. I don't know. We made
nice.
we made thousands on that. But that's the only one. But
yeah.
It is often used when somebody wants to shoot B-roll footage or somebody wants to make an ad or a troll wants to use the troll in the movies. The city usually gives them my information and we negotiate some form of a deal. We don't usually do advertisements.
Yeah, it interferes with his brand.
In other words, if it sounds like fun, we say, okay, yes, what do you got? Because, and there's 4 artists and whatever little fees we get divided 4 ways.
Right.
Like I said, I'm retired, but not from that. But it's important to keep the copyright because then you control the image.
I know it was definitely in 10 Things I Hate About You.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe those guys paid.
Oh no.
You heard it here first, folks.
Drama. Thanks for sharing the troll lore, Steve. When we come back, we'll get into our favorite Seattle bookstores. We're back with Max Delsohn, author of the short story collection Crawl, and CityCast contributor Marcus Harrison Green. What is your favorite bookstore in town?
Oh, gosh.
Oh,
If I
so
feel
true.
like seeing people in the literary scene here in Seattle, I will go to Elliott Bay because you're bound to bump into an author or book lover.
I
or
was there
something.
this weekend at Oddfellows and ran into a friend. I
Yeah,
mean,
there
it's
you
just
go.
how it goes.
There you go. If it's, I just want to go in, grab a book undercover, just, maybe read and not be bothered. I would go to Third Place Books, specifically in Seward Park. It is just, there's wonderful quiet and beer. And I love those two things as an introvert. And then third, it would be Estelita's Library. It's social justice themed over there in the Central District.
Yeah, they're great.
Second location in Beacon Hill that is opening. And, just love that for like a community feel when you want to be amongst community and actually, discuss the meaning behind books. So.
Love that. What about you, Max?
I'm going to have to do a 4-way.
All right, we're shouting out 7 bookstores.
I'll say this. I mean, I'm an Elliott Bay super fan. That's where I first discovered Grey Wolf Press, which is my publisher now and is my favorite press. All my literary dreams are just wrapped up in the walls of that store. And then Third Place, I also was I love all the Third Place places, and I felt really grateful at Third Place that our booksellers are just so hyped, have been hyped on Crawl, but just are always just so the enthusiasm there for the books that they want to sell is just so palpable, and I just feel so grateful for that. And then the other two I wanted to bring up, Charlie's Queer
Charlie's.
Books.
Shout out to Charlie's.
I'm obsessed with that. I was obsessed with that store from social media because it really started. It breaks my heart for my younger self that Charlie wasn't a thing when I was actually in Seattle, because I just watch all. I've been connected with him, since this, but I just used to watch all of his social media and be like, who is this charming trans guy that owns a bookstore in Seattle? This is everything I've ever wanted. And then I have to just shout out Twice Old, because
yes.
The vibes are unmatched.
The vibes are unmatched. It is so amazing. Also, that that's on social media, Jamie and all the cats. I'm this is brilliant. It's such a singular experience walking around in that store. And now it's there's so many other people that now, even who maybe won't ever get to go to Seattle or whatever, get to experience the magic of Twice Old.
Yeah, there are no bad bookstores in Seattle. I know.
That is true. Yeah. That's true. I feel any place really just punches above their weight in terms of, if not selection, definitely vibes.
Totally. Absolutely.
Also, if people are interested, I put together a little list of my favorite bookstores, which includes, I think, almost everything you all said, which you can probably find somewhere. You can find online at seattle.citycast.fm. Okay, so beyond bookstores, how else have you all found community around town, either as readers or as writers?
That's a great question. I mean, I think it's had to, at least for me, I think it's had to be curated at times. I have a great friend, Katie Lee Ellison.
Love Katie.
Yeah.
We love her.
And she used to do these nonfiction for no reason reading events where, it'd be at Charlie's and other places. They would rotate. I ended up partnering with her to do ones in the summertime at Jude's bar. And it was just so great to see. This is a bar in Rainier Beach. It's fairly small. The only, as far as I know, only worker-owned cooperative bar in the city. And you'd have people traveling as far as from Shoreline and Everett just to come to hear people read. It's just so heartening to see that the literary community here in Seattle is one where people have a thirst for this. And so, I just wish there were, quite frankly, just more opportunities for folks to get together.
Right? It requires someone taking the initiative. And I've always appreciated Katie for doing that. Actually, the first time that I had ever gone to CAM was a reading that she put together that I was a part of. And that was really lovely. So, yeah. What about you, Max? I know you were involved with Hugo House when you were here.
I did meet people through Hugo House, but I think honestly, even more than just I worked the front desk for a while and then I was a maid fellow, but I feel and I think this is especially true in Seattle, is if it, that's why it seems like nonfiction for no reason, is so exciting. Cause it's it's readings and it's writers are insecure. Even me.
What do you mean?
I'm not really me. I'm the only writer who's not insecure, but it's still nice to, hear from people.
Yes.
And it's you go up to people at a reading and that's how I talked to Matilda. I was just I think you're amazing. And like, and writers are like, that's what like sustains us, because certainly like, you know,
It's not the
like
money you're saying?
It's not the sales. Yeah, it's not, except for in my case, of course, but you know, in general. So yeah, I think just like, you know, it's hard to like take that first step, I think, when you're like, I want to make more writer friends, but it's like the easiest way is go to a reading, get really psyched on someone, and use the energy of their performance to be like, hey, I just wanted to say, I loved your work, here's why. And that's all it is. Like that's how I've made most of my like creative artist type friends, you know?
Okay, last thing. Where should people go to do that? To either do that or to hear other people be doing that?
I feel like the writers that I know who were really involved in Hugo House and kind of like haven't really known kind of where to go next have been looking at Cam. And not just like from someone who's not living in Seattle, just like what I've been hearing. I'm like, Katie Lee Elson, we love you for Nonfiction for No Reason.
We love you, Katie.
I only hear the best things about that series. I would just follow her around. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, second that. And then also, if you're more of a novice and you're sort of trying to start out, I would go to a spot like a Space Inside that's, in downtown Seattle, where they'll have open mic nights, and, you can rush out to the streets downtown if you feel embarrassed after reading. There's also some reading nights, I should say, over at Boom Boona Cafe, and both, I believe it's both the Renton and University of Washington location. And those are pretty low lifts in terms of, being a, polite audience if you're just starting out.
Love that. And a lot of bookstores and the Seattle Public Library have great author events. Of course, those are often folks who are a little bit more established and are out on book tour. But I do feel like there's always just something energizing being in a room full of other people who are interested in literature and hearing an author speak about their own work. And if you've read their work before, like getting to tell them what it means to you, like it's all very special. And I encourage everyone to get out there. Or if the thing that you want to exist doesn't exist yet in Seattle, make it.
Yes,
that is, I think, the anti-Seattle freeze and like the little soapbox I will be on forever and ever. Let's take a break. And when we come back, we'll talk about unvanishing Seattle. We're back with Cynthia Brothers from Vanishing Seattle and creative producer Sam J Leeds. So imagine it's 2035. Cynthia, what are the hallmarks of a future Seattle you would like to see? What else feels like a sustainable way to continue to have community-oriented businesses in Seattle?
Yeah, I feel like that's $1 billion question.
Several billion, maybe even.
I feel like I know the fruits or like the symptoms of what I consider to be like a healthy, vibrant city. Some hallmarks and signs of that is like, are there affordable, accessible places for people to build relationships with one another, to create and enjoy art and music, to get the goods and services that they need, and to just like to organize and to be in community and build relationships with each other. And I feel like the danger is that they keep getting whittled away. And it's like, then how do people get what they need, and how do they be in community with each other? Like, isn't that kind of the point? Especially people who are not just like them, not just from the same socioeconomic background, and not just like seeing all this like social stratification in these little pockets around the city. It's like, I think those places are increasingly rare. Like a Busch Garden, which was my Cheers, you could go in and it's like every different type of person and character is there, and they're gonna know your name, and you're gonna make a new friend. And it really to me was like a kind of oasis, like a utopia. And I feel like there used to be a lot more places like that. So
yeah, like I want a cheap to free place to hang out regularly that can feel like more of a third space. Like I feel like often what ends up happening when I am going out with folks is like, we all have to pay a minimum of $30 to be somewhere where you're only expected to be there for maybe 2 hours. And there are even now places that have the signs up in the restaurant that are like, you can only have this table for 90 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. Feels very New York. Get out right now.
And I get it though, right? Because it's like, they need the turnover in business so that they can continue to pay the bills and still be a restaurant. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this loss of third places is this intangible loss where it's hard to know what we could have gained if we had more access to it, but it's also really hard to create.
Yeah, well, it takes time. I think time and energy, and it's not something you can just like snap your fingers. And some of that again just comes through like the patina and the layers and the energy and the relationships over time. Yeah.
One thing that I've been thinking about is how we're gonna pull ourselves out of this. Like, I'm thinking about saving mezcal. And I mean, it's great that people pulled together, were able to pool some money. I feel like a lot of the people who were pooling money most likely were those who didn't necessarily have a ton to give, but there were plenty of people who were each able to give a little. I mean, in the long run, is that a sustainable model for this? Like, it just feels like every few weeks we have, one more thing that we could be pooling our money for. I mean, I guess that's actually a complete understatement. I feel like every day there are like dozens of things that we could be giving our money to. Like, I don't know, what could we see as a longer term solution to all of this?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like who doesn't have a GoFundMe at this point? And, it's like a tool.
It's a new health insurance, kind of.
I know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do think it speaks to this kind of larger failure systemically, because it's kind of like, well, it falls on the burden yet again of people who don't have much money to spare, likely. I believe that, like, we're going to have our own solutions and, do some powerful stuff, but it's also like, dang, like, do we have to be the ones that are like paying into all these like fundraisers and GoFundMes and stuff? Like, yeah, there just got to be another way. Yeah, I remember before the pandemic, like the city, I was like talking with them about doing like a legacy small business program to try and like acknowledge and protect like small businesses. And it was kind of like, well, at the end of the day, it's like, are there going to be resources? Is there money? Is it, right. You can't just have like a plaque, because there's so many places that are closed that it's like there's this little City of Seattle plaque that's like, this was a culturally important space, or like this was an art space, and it was just like, that's great. And I think people need to know and value that history, but it's like at the end of the day, it's like if there's not protections from them around getting like booted out of the space on the landlord's whim, or they just can't keep up with the costs, so I don't know, maybe there's models of how they do in other countries where they help subsidize, or it's just, a lot of these are just problems of capitalism. So it's like, how do you tackle that larger beast, and in a way that just seems really, really tough and like, inequitable right now.
Maybe something to leverage, though. I mean, speaking of capitalism, the World Cup is coming to Seattle, and I feel like there's been so much talk lately. I mean, I know like the city is planning some projects to essentially like make the downtown a little bit nicer, a little bit more accessible. I wonder if that could be something that could also help businesses around town. I guess I'm also just thinking about like what businesses might be highlighted when folks are actually in town. Stuff close to the stadiums, maybe.
I think if the New York Times coverage is any indicator, it will definitely be things that are close to the stadiums. Cynthia, I don't know if you saw the article that they published, but it was somebody who clearly had never been to Seattle before and was writing about like how hilly it was and how you shouldn't bother to go up to Capitol Hill unless you wanted to walk on four legs because you wouldn't make it up the hill. So
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was a funny read, for sure. But I think something that the city could maybe do a better job of is highlighting like neighborhood maps. Like if you want to go to the CID or if you want to go to Capitol Hill, here are some of the businesses that have been in business for 20 years, 30 years that you can check out that are, really key to Seattle's culture, rather than just like, here's the most convenient thing to go grab a bite at between games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like how does, there's going to be a lot of money coming into the city. We've seen the failure of like trickle down economics theories over and over. So I'm skeptical of that stuff. And also just like you see, whenever they sell like a new stadium, or like some big like sporting event or arena, and they say it's going to be a boon for economic development, and it like rarely is. And so it has the opposite effect. So I'm curious to see like what impact this has. I know there are some neighborhood groups in like the CID that are like concerned about it like not being a positive thing
it's
for
going
the
to be a lot
community.
of people. Like I think they're expecting, at least 75,000 people for games. So it's a lot of extra people to have walking around the
So hopefully
International
some
District.
of those resources would go back into the community or to like local artists and folks who are just like, here holding it down every day, as opposed to, I don't know, just like the big kind of chamber of commerce type stuff.
I saw an estimate that said that visitors are expected to be spending around $500 a night for Airbnbs potentially, which, I mean, that could be really great for somebody, but who knows where that all is going to be.
Well, it's like when the World's Fair happened in 1962, they had a huge temporary housing issue. Like they built a lot of new housing in anticipation of the fair, but like they had these pins that they were wearing at that time that said, "Don't gouge me, I'm a Seattleite," because it was reflecting this like protest that it's like, I'm a local and I can't afford, I'm getting like kicked out of my apartment, my rent's going up way high because y'all are trying to get this tourist money.
That's so fascinating that was a thing back then, and it's likely just going to continue to be a thing for as long as we're a city.
History is cyclical for sure.
It does repeat itself.
Yeah, which is why I think it's important to know it. So you can, of course, correct if possible.
Well, I wanted to end by asking you all, as we're talking about the future here, what businesses need support this season that you all want to shout out to make sure they last forever and ever? Or maybe even ones that you just hope make it until, whatever, 30, 25. It's a long time from now.
This one is a tough one because I feel like I'm swimming in it all the time. And it's like,
I mean, also
there's
feel
so
free to
many
take a
that
sec.
it's sometimes it's hard for me to like pull out examples. I mean, definitely mezcal. And so it's kind of like, what place doesn't need support? I mean, I think it's I'm very excited about Busch Garden that is supposed to be coming back.
Where's the new location?
It's going to be in a building called Uncle Bob's Place, which is a low-income housing development in the ID where Four Seas Dynasty Room used to be.
Okay.
It was developed by Interim, and they wanted to purposefully like have the ground floor retail, be something that benefited the community. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe just like have people ask themselves like, what are their favorite places, or what places that they would like to see not vanish, and just, I don't know, maybe make a more cognizant effort to support them or share the word about what an awesome place it is. Because I do feel like these places really need us right now. I think it's not just about putting our dollars in these places, but it's like having a shared experience with other people in the city. And just like being a part of that.
Go see a show at the Tractor. Go support a band you haven't heard before. Last time I went to a show there, I ran into a friend who was just like, I just wanted to see who was playing. And then we ended up hanging out afterwards, get a little drink at the venue, like just be among people who have a shared interest. Sam, do you have any place you want to shout out?
I have a couple. I don't know if either of them are in trouble, but they're places that I love that have been around for a long time. One is Fort St. George.
Yes.
It's just like a favorite late night spot. They have great food. There's always like fun music playing. There's a little bar. And it's like up a flight of stairs inside of one of those kind of like indoor shopping centers in the International District. And then the other is more in my local neighborhood. It's called Shiki Sushi. And it's been around for many, many years. It's family owned. And the man who is the sushi chef I think is the owner, and he's always behind the counter. He always greets you. It's like a little neighborhood hole in the wall. It's sushi, so it's kind of expensive, but even just getting a bowl of soup and like a roll or something. And now they've opened indoor seating again. And it feels very homey and nice to go hang out there with a book.
Cool. I want to go. So you sold it very well.
All right. Well, catch me there on some rainy evening with a little bowl of soup and a book. That
sounds dreamy,
so
doesn't it?
Yeah. It's the best way to spend a Seattle winter.
Thanks to all of our guests, and thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Remember, you can always send us your news tips and questions by sending an email to seattle@citycast.fm. You can also text us or leave us a voicemail on the CityCast hotline at 206-880-3931. And if you do want to take advantage of today being the last day to join as a neighbor and get one of those beautiful Emily Weissman prints, you can go to membership.citycast.fm/Seattle. If you're enjoying the podcast, follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen so you never miss an episode. Or leave us a little review, it's really helpful, and tell your friends about us. You can also find us on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and YouTube at CityCast Seattle. And you can get more local news and events delivered right to your inbox by subscribing to our newsletter. Just go to seattle.citycast.fm. Until next time, see ya, Seattle.